On September 13th, 1814, the entire British Armada opened up on Fort McHenry, which was a very important fort during the Battle of Baltimore during the War of 1812. The British had just ransacked and destroyed and burned the United States Capitol, and they were attempting to put down their rebel nation that they still saw as a rebellious teenager rather than a fully fledged nation powerful enough to compete on the global stage. The United States went through hell to find independence, to free ourselves from the shackles of authoritarianism and despotism and tyranny, only now to turn around and have to throw off the exact same shackles again, but this time from our very own government. I had to stand up because there were some ants biting me. One of them's name was Gary. We'll get to him in a minute. Unfortunately, even though our nation was founded on liberty and freedom, it has come under attack from all sides, especially from the Securities and Exchange Commission. The SEC, led by Gary Genslers, has recently filed a lawsuit against Binance, their founder Changpeng Zhao, and now against the exchange Coinbase, in a bid to label the vast majority of the cryptocurrency space as securities. Inside of both of those complaints, many of your favorite cryptocurrencies, from Matic to Cardano to Solana, File, Mana, Sand, etc., all have been labeled as securities, or at least accused of being securities by Gary Gensler. There's a few things to note here. First and foremost, let's talk about the litigation and the legal side of things, and then let's also talk briefly about why the SEC is doing this, because I'm here to tell you today that this is not what the SEC wants you to think it is. What are they doing? The SEC is alleging that CZ, Changpeng Zhao, has been operating an exchange in a way that has not been fair, that has not been open, and that has not seen the exchange operating by its very own corporate controls. Whether that's true or not, I don't know. It's very possible that it is, and an investigation into that is potentially healthy if it's done in the right way and for the right reason. Now, the other allegation that the SEC is making against Coinbase and making against Binance is that they are offering unregistered securities. The issue is none of those cryptocurrencies that they referred to, Cardano, Solana, Matic, the rest, are actually securities. None of them have ever been labeled securities. The only piece of documentation, the only way that anybody can make an argument that they're securities, because Gary Gensler one time said that everything but Bitcoin's a security. So what, now are we supposed to go off of the words of a king? Is Gary Gensler now for some reason the authority that we have to obey here in the cryptocurrency space? He's now the king, and if we don't do exactly what he says, then we're subject to judgment? Is he God? No, of course not. And we can't stand for this in the cryptocurrency space. The entire reason that we founded the cryptocurrency space was because we realized that government had gotten too big and wanted to meddle too much in our own lives. That's the point of financial sovereignty, guys, is to have control over our own finances and over the way that those finances work, rather than having them control us. And today we need to rally around that concept of financial sovereignty, and we need to put aside our differences, and we need to work together to fight against the powers that be that want to destroy cryptocurrency. 2 days ago on Monday, when the SEC filed charges against Binance, and then yesterday when they filed charges against Coinbase, that was the first day of a war that they're trying to launch on Bitcoin and cryptocurrency, and that is not going to be an easy fight. But I am convinced that if we unite together, we will not go silently into the night. We will instead fight back against the tyranny that Gary Gensler is trying to bring in as if he's a redcoat from 1776. Now for the why. This is politically motivated. The United States is leading the charge on developing CBDCs, central bank digital currencies. If you don't know what that is, think Bitcoin, but instead of it being decentralized, you have somebody in charge of it. So in this case, the United States federal government. Over a dozen nations have actually already launched their own cryptocurrencies. The Bahamas is one, Grenada, a few other smaller nations. No major players on the global stage, but many of the G7 and 18 of the G20 nations are working on CBDCs right now, and several of them are planning to launch them within the next year or two. The United States' power comes from its currency. The United States' power does not come from its nuclear arsenal. It does not come from its military. It does not come from its economy. It comes from the fact that the United States wields the most powerful currency on planet Earth, and that funds and backs and brings meaning to the rest of those things. If we have a military but we're not able to fund it, if we have an economy but we're not able to liquidate it, if we have a nuclear arsenal but we're not able to back it up with something that is able to leverage, to be used as leverage, such as the United States dollar, then the United States has nothing, because we can't fund and back up and support any of those advancements that we have that, albeit, are very helpful in defending our country. The United States government sees Bitcoin as a threat to its global hegemony that it has with the United States dollar. And the thing you have to keep in mind about that is that if the United States sees cryptocurrency as a threat, then that means to them cryptocurrency is a threat. That means there is a level of danger, there is a level of potency, there is a level of strength there in the cryptocurrency market that we must wield correctly. And so I'm not going to go into all the particulars of the lawsuit. Plenty of other people can do that for you. But what I will tell you is that the United States government feels threatened by something that we're doing in cryptocurrency. And I believe the reason for it is because the United States government is a terrible example of financial sovereignty, and the United States government is a terrible example of having control over your own wealth. The United States government runs a 75% to the dollar deficit. Every dollar that it spends, it makes 75 to 76 cents to cope with that. It's a horrible example to the American people, and we should never look to the government for our financial sovereignty education, nor should we look to the government for how to use power in a way that is humble and meek enough to use it for the benefit of others. The government uses its power to strengthen its hold on power rather than to benefit the people. We need to ensure that we're looking at cryptocurrency in the right light, and that we are seeing that cryptocurrency has the potential to be the example that the American people and the rest of the world should strive to be like. And I believe that the government feels threatened by that because the United States government does not have the power in the way the system is built to be the right example, and they know that cryptocurrency is, and they're threatened because people might look to crypto for the answers rather than the government, which is trying to put themselves in the position of God. That's why they're launching a CBDC, because they believe and they're going to bank on the fact that the majority of the American people are not going to know the difference, and they're going to say, oh, the United States government put this cryptocurrency out, might as well follow along with this one. Why would I use Bitcoin? It's invested in the dark net and it's used for criminal activity. I'd rather go with whatever CBDC the United States government comes out with. The US government wants to put a bow on cryptocurrency, and they're using the SEC as the fall guy. Make no mistake, Gary Gensler is not the only guy here. He's the puppet. He's the fall guy. The United States government is the mob boss, and Gary Genslers is the kid that's just turned 18 that they're trying to recruit, that's trying to get into the mob, and they sent him to go do the hit. That's Gary Gensler. Gary Genslers is the fall guy. This goes a lot deeper. This is the United States government against cryptocurrency, and this is a fresh war that was been brewing, and it finally erupted into an actual exchange on Monday. What we need to do, what you need to do, what I need to do, is we need to continue to discipline ourselves and continue to learn financial sovereignty. We need to continue to invest in our own education. We need to continue to be vocal citizens. We need to continue to use our vote because it matters. We need to continue to grow ourselves into an industry that is worthy of being treated like a real industry. That means for the business leaders out there, you need to run squeaky clean ships. Insofar as I'm not saying you can't disrupt things, but you need to have your books in order. You need to not be committing tons of crime, or any for that matter. You need to be operating in an integral way. We need to stop promoting shills, and we need to stop promoting meme coins and other things that are going to ruin the reputation that we have. We need to build good technology that will help people have a better life financially. That's the point of cryptocurrency. And if we can all rally together around something that is bigger than ourselves and put aside our petty differences, we will be just fine throughout all of this. But understand that things get a lot stickier from this point on. But I'll be right here with you through it. Peace.